Hello, and welcome back to the Ever Changing World podcast. I'm your host, Ava Zanetti, and today is finally the day that I finally have mustered up the courage. For some reason, it took me a while, but I finally mustered up some sort of courage, I guess, in a way, to record this episode. I've been alluring to this episode for a very long time, and to be honest, I never got around to it. I thought I needed a lot more research than I ended up doing, so I kind of realized maybe I didn't need as long, but I kind of wanted to let the huge boom of the NFTs lift a little bit, and I know the boom hasn't ended. The boom is still here. NFTs have been here for a long time, fairly now, but I felt at the time that I was planning to record this that I wasn't quite ready to talk about it. I just did cryptocurrency, which is episode. One second. The cryptocurrency episode was episode 5, so that was a really long time ago. Almost, oh my gosh, like 9 weeks ago. So if you want to go listen to that, go ahead. I also have a YouTube crypto scam episode, which was also really good, and that was the episode right after. That was episode number 6. And I think I'm going to do something pretty similar. I'm going to do a episode after this one that I will talk about NFT scams. Actually, sorry, that was 10 weeks ago. Gosh, guys, time has flown. Next week is going to be 4 months of the podcast, which is so insane, so insane. I hope you guys have been enjoying. I definitely have. So yeah, if you want to go check out the cryptocurrency, I think you'll be able to understand everything I'm talking about a bit more. I don't want this episode to be a whole hour-long episode of me talking about cryptocurrency again and re-explaining concepts that I talked about a very, very long time ago. So go check out that episode. It's about an hour long. Same with the YouTube cryptocurrency scam one. That was a little bit more fun. I guess if you like learning about scams, it was a little bit more fun. And then of course you can come back and obviously listen to this one. Maybe you have a little bit of a better background on this episode as well. So yeah, today I'm just gonna do I probably won't. I usually always assume I'm going to get a lot more recording done than I end up getting done. So I do think it'll be more of an introduction to NFTs, kind of just like what is an NFT? Like what is this? And probably maybe a little bit about the future of NFTs and the confusion around it. And then next week's episode, I am planning on talking about NFT scams because I really think the whole market is just scams. And maybe I won't get into my opinion portion of the episode yet, but I do think that most of this market is a lot of scamming. I think the cryptocurrency market is a lot as well, but I think it is a little bit safer in a way compared to NFTs. I don't really love NFTs. I started learning about it last year, actually, when I was in grade 9 in 2021, and a bit of 2020, and I learned about it from Ray Dalio, and I don't exactly remember his stance, but it did sound like they were talking about it in somewhat of a positive light. I think they were talking about cryptocurrency a lot more, though. If you don't know who Ray Dalio is, I might do a whole episode actually just about him and his book. But he's an amazing investor. He was the founder of Bridgewater Associates, and that is an investing company. He was raised in a middle class family, then became a billionaire. He's in his 70s, I believe, right now, so he's obviously retired. But he's been one of my huge investing kind of gods in a way. He's been such an inspiration to me ever since I read his book Principles, which I guess I can just talk about in the introduction right now. It's an amazing book. I highly recommend it. He talks all about the principles that he uses for work as well for life. So I really do think it's a book that can be for anybody if you want to be a CEO or a leader in some sort of way, or have your own business, or work your way up in a business. I think that's a really good portion of it, or just in work as well. There's some great principles there. As well, if you just want to talk about life, I think it's great as well. He's a really brilliant man, of course, has had many amazing experiences, and he does talk about how he wishes people who who are these big figures in life, how he does wishes that they would make books like this and give their advice. And I think that he's kind of spreading a positive domino effect, and I hope many more people give their advice and on everything that they do. So yeah, Ray Dalio is a huge inspiration. I don't exactly remember if he liked NFTs, so I don't want to like put words into his mouth. But as well, the take was last year. He could have, I don't know, maybe he likes them now, maybe he doesn't. I'm not too sure. So, take that with a grain of salt because I'm not exactly sure if he likes NFTs or not. So don't get too fussed out about that one. So yeah, today's episode, I think I'm just going to talk about what NFTs are, what the purpose is, which again is kind of confusing in a way. As well, I would love to talk about the future of NFTs. And then if I get around to it, I may talk about NFT scams, but I probably will not, and that will probably be next week's episode. As a little bit of a quick introduction, I do want to say, that, again, I know I'm trying to read a lot more and I haven't been. Right now I'm revising or technically learning AP microeconomics for my test or exam next month. So I'm really trying to do that as well as keeping up with my 4 classes and keeping my grades up. I'm getting midterms this week. So I think I'm doing pretty well on everything, but of course I want to, it's not final grades. I really want to bring everything up for, finals. So, it's kind of that one of those busy times once again. And I think the whole year truly is always a busy time. I think that we don't really talk about how busy our lives are. So I do think, well, maybe we do. But I do think that for sure it's just going to be a really, really busy time in general, but you know what? That is all good. That is okay. And, we will all get through it. So, overall, I hope everyone has a great week. I've had a great week. And yeah, I just want to start the episode then. Let's just get right into the NFT episode. This one might be a little bit, you know what? I'm not even going to say what this episode is going to be. Let's just get into it. So first I want to talk about what NFTs are and, what a non-fungible token, which is what NFT stands for, is. So first I'm going to look at Investopedia, my favorite website. If I've been watching the podcast for a while now, this is my favorite website because all I research is on here. Great website. Highly recommend. Of course, it's always linked in the bio. I'm already getting ads from Fiverr about NFTs, which I think is really funny, and maybe I'll open that link and see if I can find anything funny on there. So basically, a little quick what you need to know about NFTs. 1, NFTs are unique cryptographic, again, think about that word, cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain and cannot be replicated. Okay. So this is very similar to cryptocurrency, and I'll do a little bit of a connection here, but again, if you don't know about crypto, go listen to my other podcast episode from a few weeks ago. And pretty much, these tokens only exist truly online and through this blockchain. So again, a little bit of a refresher if you don't remember. The blockchain is this really, really, really secure place in a way where all the computers that have, kind of this blockchain on them are connected together from around the world, and it is basically impossible to mess up the blockchain or hack into the blockchain. And that's why it's such a big deal, because the blockchain is so secure. And obviously that means these NFTs cannot be replicated. So the issue comes in when you have... Oh, no, it is not Siri. Oops, sorry about that. But the thing with this is that yes, it cannot be replicated. And the issue comes in where people get really confused. And honestly, I kind of got confused too. Is when you have a painting, like, let's say the Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa is this, kind of big painting that's obviously very famous. And we obviously know there is only one Mona Lisa. We know it cannot be replicated basically in the way that we know that, the artist, Leonardo da Vinci, won't come back and make another Mona Lisa, and it would never be the same, even if he did in some regard. So that, it cannot be replicated. It cannot be, replaced. It's very confusing for people because it's like, well, you just have a Mona Lisa picture. That makes no sense. You don't own the Mona Lisa. But what you own is not the Mona Lisa, but an iteration of the Mona Lisa. So almost like in a way, a copy of the image. You don't want to really think about what the image even is. You want to think about that link that you get. So you get this kind of fancy little hyperlink or this piece of code. That piece of code is yours. It's like a patent on that code, which I know sounds really funny that you can, almost patent code in a way nowadays, but you can. It's really big. This is kind of what NFTs are in a way. That piece of code that you have, that particular structure, so all those particular pixels, all those little things, everything in its place, those are the things that cannot be replicated. You can have an iteration of it. It can look the same to the human eye, but that code and those pixels and all those little bits and pieces cannot be replicated in that same order. So, I mean, you could technically switch around the order and switch a few little things and make it look the same, but then again, it wouldn't be the same NFT. So that's where that it cannot be replicated thing comes in. And I know it sounds really stupid, and I agree. It is kind of stupid in a lot of ways. But I think that it's it's kind of important to think about it in that coding way, because all it really is the code. You don't really care about the image. It usually isn't a piece of artwork that you care about. More is about the code, and more right now, obviously, is about the amount of money you can make with it. So kind of the second big thing that Investopedia tells us is that NFTs can represent, like I mentioned, real world items like artwork and real estate. So yes, it can just be an image of like an island that you don't even own. Like let's say I owned an island, I don't know, somewhere, some random island. If someone took a picture of it and made it as an NFT, I could not like sue them. I couldn't get mad at them, nothing. Because that artwork, quote unquote, I own the place, but they can own that artwork. So I wouldn't even have the right to sue them. There would be no legal binding, nothing. There would be no, legislation in that, and nothing would be binding in that way. So that's kind of the other part that, confuses a lot of people as well. Because it's like, well, someone could just take a picture of me and make an NFT. And that's true. They technically could. And it is a really weird thought. We are in a really weird time where these different electronical items, obviously, are very confusing. But I definitely think that when we are kind of thinking about it in this way, it does, it kind of makes sense when we talk more about it. So this third major point is that, okay, this word, again, another kind of topic that we need to understand, quote unquote tokenizing. So these are real world tangible assets, makes buying, selling, and trading them more efficient while reducing the probability of fraud. So, let's say I want to sell you a really expensive pair of, I don't know, Jordans. Jordan, yeah, expensive shoes, like Jordan 1s or something. I don't know, some really expensive, rare pair. And if I'm worried, like let's say I don't want to go through Craigslist. I don't trust that you're going to be able to be verified through Craigslist. So let's be honest, you probably won't. So I will tokenize. I will say, hey, I've been tokenized, I've been approved, this thing is real, this item is real. Someone with real cash that will automatically transfer and everything will go well, send it over, let's do it. And that trade-off of, you get X amount of Bitcoin or whatever currency you want to go through, and they get your item and the token, you're not selling the NFT anymore, you're selling the item. So I think this is actually a way that is good for usability in the NFT world. I think this is probably the most useful way of using it, is using this almost as like a Craigslist. Again, that is kind of funny to say, but it's true. Using it as some sort of variability. As well, even if we're shopping, I think this is another great way. If we're online shopping, or shopping in stores instead of having to use cash or debit or credit card. I know those are usually like verifiable, but I think if we're making online purchases, especially where we're already online, I think cryptocurrency could have a great place. And I think you could easily verify that someone, yeah, they do have that amount of money in their blockchain or in their whatever crypto wallet is what I should say. This is a great idea. So I think that is probably another big factor that I think, personally, I think that's probably the best use of this. Though some may argue it's not even a good use either. And then fourth, this is kind of like not a point, but NFTs can also function to represent individuals, identities, property rights, and more. So again, it can just kind of be representative of a lot of things, which I think is where its main use will come into play in the next few years. I can't really see people using NFTs and, any of these other ways. So as well, again, there's a lot of different use cases for this, and I think the physical asset is probably the one where people trust it more. But this is probably the big one that I remember a lot of people were talking about, and you probably have heard of it, so let's just talk about it. So in early March 2021, a group of NFTs by digital artist Beeple sold for over $69 million. The sale set a precedent and a record for the most expensive pieces of digital art sold thus far, which is $69 million is a lot. The artwork was a collage comprised of Beeple's first 5,000 days of work. So Beeple he did a different artwork, or she, I believe it's a he. They had a different artwork every single day of the week. They did an artwork every day, and they comprised all 5,000 of these, that's a lot of days, guys. All of their work they comprised into this big NFT, and that amount of work for 5,000 days of work, they made $69 million over, which is a really crazy price. But if you do think about it, that much amount of work for digital artwork. I mean, I know people say, "Oh, digital artwork's not as hard," but it is hard. Like I couldn't do it. It is a lot. It is a lot of money for 5,000 days. But again, like if I kind of want to see. I want to see if I did something like, I don't know, 5,000. I don't even know what 69 million looks like on the calculator. 69 million. Oops. I'm already messing this up. It's okay. It's like okay. It's about 13 grand for each artwork, which again is a lot of money, so maybe I don't have a place to say that. But I think this was the really big shock, and I think it was almost this big shock where it was like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is legit. Maybe this thing is working. Because he did make the money, right? Like, we can also, the great thing about NFTs is like, hey, we know the guy has the money, right? Like, obviously with our auctions, we have a bunch of rich people that are auctioning stuff, but still, like, there can be people that can sneak in and just not have the money. So again, a lot of this is centered around collectibles. So a lot of people will compare this to, let's say, baseball cards. People will have the physical baseball card and say, oh, it's super rare. So that's kind of what NFTs are like. I know a lot of people have a whole stack of NFTs in their collection, and they'll collect every single one, and hold on to it is the whole thing as well, the whole term and phrase. So I think that's another one of those big things. One of the most spaces that is super huge in this area is the NBA Top Shot. So this was a place to collect non-fungible tokenized NBA moments in digital card form. So you could take, these big, huge moments in NBA history or these big plays. And it was an NFT, which is kind of funny. And some of these cards actually sold for millions of dollars, which again, I know sounds insane, right? Like, you're like, I can go on the internet and I can find this exact image, this exact video for $0. But you do have to remember that this, again, is that piece of code. You're buying the code. You're really not buying the item. That's kind of just a bonus. You're buying the code. And that's kind of where it comes into play. So recently, Twitter's Jack Dorsey, who created Twitter, tweeted a link to a tokenized version of the first tweet ever, in which he wrote, "Just setting up my Twitter," which was his first tweet. And the NFT version of the first ever tweet sold for more than over $2.9 million. Again, I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But if we really are kind of playing that devil's advocate, or we really are taking, if we really, kind of take this thing seriously, it really is, kind of a big thing for these people, and it really is, again, just a code. So this little understanding NFTs, I don't know if I really want to get super into this. I'll do a little bit of a skim. So okay, understanding NFTs. So like physical money, cryptocurrencies are fungible, meaning they can be traded or exchanged for one another. So, one Bitcoin is always equal in value to another Bitcoin. So similarly, a single unit of ether, is always equal to another unit. So that's obviously cryptocurrency. So that's what makes cryptocurrency suitable as a medium of transaction in the digital economy, okay? But the NFT shift the crypto paradigm by making each token unique and irreplaceable, thereby making it impossible for one non-fungible token to be equal to another. So that's where the big part comes in. It's not fungible anymore. This is not a source. It's not a currency. It's just not. These things are not equal to each other. Each token is not equal to each other. Is where the big thing comes in as well for NFTs. So they are digital representations of assets, etc., and passports, because each token contains a unique, non-transferable identity to distinguish it from other tokens. So they are also extensible, meaning that you can combine one NFT with another to, quote-unquote, breed a third unique NFT. So there is no comparisons. Yes, there is no comparisons in the code. Yes, maybe the images are different. But as well, just the fact they cannot equal one each other. Each NFT cannot equal one each other. So they are all unique in their own way, which is the other big aspect. So just like Bitcoin, NFTs also contain ownership details for easy identification and transfer between token holders. So that's when you go on the blockchain, you can see exactly who has bought the NFT, who has traded it at each and every time. So there really is no hiding if it is a scam. There really is no hiding if you don't have the money or, you can't make it, quote unquote. It really is all laid out for you, and you can see exactly what every single person, on the cryptocurrency market has, which is another big part. So, for example, tokens representing coffee beans can be classified as fair trade, or artists can sign their digital artwork with their own signature in the metadata. So, again, you can kind of sign your artwork through metadata. It's all really weird. It really is like auctioning online in a way, but there's a lot more to it, I guess. So one of these really famous ones is Crypto Kitties. I think the monkey one is maybe a little bit more fancy. But Crypto Kitties, actually, no, I've seen Crypto Kitties. These are pretty big. They're like little cats that are kind of cute, with little for sale signs. And to explain this, I'm going to read the article, of course. So perhaps one of the most famous use case for NFTs is that of cryptocurrency kitties. Launched in November 2017, Crypto Kitties are digital representations of cats with unique identifications on Ethereum's blockchain. So each kitty is unique and has a price and ether. They reproduce among themselves and produce new offspring, which have different attributes and valuations compared to their parents. I think that is absolutely adorable. It is really like the cats are reproducing and you're buying their kittens, but it is very cute. So, within a few short weeks of their launch, Kitties racked up a fan base that spent 20 million worth of ether to purchase, feed, and nurture them. That is a great business model, I have to say. Because I've seen mobile games, that have the same concept, except you're paying actual money. You're paying actual money in both. But this one's kind of fun because it's like, oh, it's a crypto kitty. I'm going to make sure it's, my kitty's alive. I'm going to pay money to make sure it's alive. You don't want it to die, don't you? Oh, I'm going to make sure it can reproduce. I can have more kitties, right? Like, it's a great business model because you always have to keep coming back, right? So some enthusiasts even spent upward of $100,000 on the effort, which sounds really stupid. It's like, dude, it's an image, but again, it sucks you in. More recently, the Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's the huge one. Bored Ape is the one you've probably seen with all the apes with like different shirts or looks on them. Have garnered controversial attention for its high prices, celebrity following, and high-profile thefts. So this one has been the biggest one, and I think I've seen almost every celebrity have one of these. It's really big. And of course, some of this has been 10,000. There's been 10,000 NFTs for the Bored Ape, which is insane. So, CryptoKitties and Bored Ape Yacht Club use cases may sound trivial. Others have had more serious business implications. So, for example, NFTs have been used in private equity transactions as well as real estate deals. One of the implications enabling multiple types of tokens in a contract is the ability to provide escrow for different types of NFTs, from artwork to real estate, into a single financial transaction. So, escrow pretty much is kind of this use of the use of a third party which holds an asset or funds before they are transferred from one party to another. So NFTs are kind of acting in this way, and it's free to do, right? You just gotta put your money into it. So this is huge. This area is huge for business people as well, because it's almost like that kind of third party get away with stuff transaction that people really love to do. And, it's really interesting to see the government develop with these technologies, because when people are buying, NFTs through, real estate through NFTs, you really have to think, right? Like, it's, how is that going to be taxed? How is that going to be traced? Obviously, everything is traced on the blockchain, but again, it's like, how do you know they bought a house? So there's all these different, aspects of it. And overall, I think it is really big right now. And I think this whole area is kind of like the wild, wild west right now. All the laws and everything's still being figured out. And obviously the whole point of cryptocurrency is that there is no government, but eventually the government will step in because they want power, of course. And I think that's big as well. So, okay, why is this kind of, important? So non-fungible tokens are the evolution of the relatively simple concept of cryptocurrency. So, it's really enabling digital representations of physical assets. And NFTs are a step forward into the reinvention of this infrastructure. So, we are moving to digital is pretty much the best way to sum it up. So I think that's super important to know. I think this one is really, really funny. And if you don't remember, 20 minutes ago, I got an ad from Fiverr right on the Investopedia article that I just finished reading or skimming through on NFT art, and people on Fiverr are going crazy. They are willing to draw custom cartoons for an NFT. I love it. I think it's so funny. It's so so cute, but I think we are moving into this area, even if if we like it or not. I think that we are moving into kind of this area, and I don't really trust it, and I know a lot of people don't trust it, but I think it's really an interesting topic for debate as well. So maybe I'll skim through this Verge article. I don't really know if there's going to be anything else that I kind of want to talk about in this one, but we're going to maybe just do a little bit of a skim. Oh yeah, this one was huge. I totally forgot about this. So, okay, Beeple is huge. Beeple has been the one that has been making so much freaking money. And I just gotta talk about him, man. He is huge in the NFT space. So, Beeple, let's see if I can load this video. I remember this happened a really long time ago, but, might as well talk about it. He had sold this video, and this video was huge. It's called Crossroad, number 101. There's only one. I don't... Okay, here. Okay, so this video is like a little loop, and you heard the birds chirping. So, I'm going to describe it because you obviously can't see my screen. So it's just a bunch of people, kind of normal looking people, walking in front of this, on this patch, this boardwalk. There's a little rainbow in the background. There's a bird, okay? It's the Twitter bird. It's a blue bird. It's a Twitter bird, okay? You heard the tweet noise. Okay. On the floor is Donald Trump. I know, controversial. This was released in 2020, guys. I don't have any political beliefs. So Donald Trump is laying on the ground, and obviously this was, a really huge time for this whole, Trump 2020, Biden 2020 whole debate or whatever. I don't even want to talk about it really. But Trump is here with his orange hair on the ground. He has a bunch of words written on him. You might have seen this one. But it says, things like loser, eat shit, a bunch of different, Trump things on it. Proud boy, poor boy. It looks like tattoos. And then the little Twitter bird comes down, sits on his, gross, naked body, and then does, a little clown emoji tweet, and then flies off. So that's the first first one we have by Beeple here. It was originally listed for $66,666. Oops, so sorry. Someone paid 6.6 million. So it was paid for, a lot, but it's really funny. So they kind of say, okay, well, even the Verge article is saying, oh, I'm just downloading, this video, but it's like they are deciding to give you something that can't be copied, so you can't keep the artwork cool. The artist can still retain the copyright of this and reproduction rights. That's true. So artists, every time it sells, they can put a commission on it. So let's say I sell my artwork. I can keep putting a commission on that artwork so I keep making money. So, the whole idea for physical art collecting, you want to put in this mind again. Anyone can buy a Monet print, but only one person can own the original. So, again, they're like, oh, no shade to Beeple, but the video really isn't a Monet. So, there's another one. There's a Gucci ghost here. It was $3,600, and it's literally just a ghost of this really ugly Gucci print that makes it up for it. It was kind of like an illusion if you move your head around. And it's got the Gucci logos. And that image that Beeple was auctioning off at Christie's ended up selling for $69 million. Which is $15 million more than a Monet painting, which is absolutely insane. $15 million more than a Monet painting is just crazy. So yeah, that's the big 5,000 photo one. That was worth $14 million more than a Monet painting. Monet is a huge artist, of course. I think we've all heard of him. So, I think that is really crazy. This space is just crazy, to say it in the least. I do want to find a few others of Beeple's. He has some really interesting pieces of artwork, a lot that I definitely cannot show or even play. Some very inappropriate imagery. Yeah, there's just some. He's got some interesting stuff. But he sells a bunch of these, and I think some of them are really cool. I think some of these maybe aren't appropriate. But I do think that he's been crazy. He's been making so much money off this stuff. I bet he absolutely loves NFTs. I bet he's an advocate for it. And I think it's great for, if you're an artist and you can do this, go for it. But it really is a shit show, like cryptocurrencies at this time, because none of the really big scams have gone away. Of course, everything in life, there is a lot of scams, but the big ones haven't really gone away yet, and I wouldn't trust putting any money into it. So again, it's like, oh, it's not as good as, it's not even physical, but it's like, well, it's kind of cool, because it's like, hey, I got it, so, it's really interesting. So, people are saying, NFTs are already over, right? So, didn't the boom go bust? But they said, have you heard of penguin communities? That's what the Verge is talking about. So, penguin communities are longbow communities based on things they own. And it's how happening with NFTs. So, one community that has been exceedingly popular revolves around a collection of NFTs called Pudgy Penguins. This is another one similar to the Bored Ape stuff. But it's not the only community builder on these tokens. CryptoPunks is another big one. Bored Ape again. So of course the community activities depend on the community. So for Pudgy Penguin and Bored Ape owners, seems to involve vibing and sharing memes on Discord or complimenting each other on their Pudgy Penguin Twitter avatars. So that's another big thing. Twitter now allows you to put your NFT. I guess it has to be verified NFT. You technically, hey, I could technically take an image of your NFT and put it as my profile picture, and no one would know. But it technically wouldn't be the NFT. That's the whole thing. So, people can put their NFTs now up on Twitter as their profile image. So I guess another way to be like, hey, I got a few mil or a few $1,000s to spend on this. I don't know. So what's the point? An artist, okay? So as an artist, it's really great because it's like, you can sell it and it's a bunch of money and, it can change hands. You can see it. It can become really popular and you'll be super, right. Amazing. So, buyer, obviously you're supporting artists, I guess, if you really care about that. NFTs get you some basic usage rates, like being able to post the image online or set it as your public profile picture. And I guess bragging rights. I think as well as a buyer, if you think it'll make a lot of money next once you sell it and you'll make a good return on your investment, I think that's the big thing right now. I think people just keep selling, and then, you're the last guy who nobody wants to buy your NFT anymore because no one above them's going to buy it. So you have to be very careful when you're doing that because it can really easily go in the wrong way. So, of course, collectors, I think this is another big area where this is obviously huge right now, and it's going to continue staying huge. So, NFTs, right, are... Some people are saying they're the future of fine art collecting, which I really don't think. They said, read as a playground for the mega rich, which, yeah. And some people treat them like Pokemon cards, so maybe accessible for normal people, but also a playground for the mega rich. So, I just don't like this. I really kind of hate NFTs, to be honest. I think that it's cool, and I think some of the uses can be useful. Like, I think selling on real estate or using it for your business or business transactions, I think that's a good use of it, personally. But really, I really don't see this going anywhere, but it's just kind of turning into trash. I think that it's already has too many kind of crap shoots for NFTs. I mean, Logan Paul's in the game, let's be honest. So I think there's a lot that I'm kind of, about, and I don't love, but, I guess it really is based on you and your value. I would never spend millions of dollars on an NFT, but I think, okay, people are saying, oh my gosh, celebrities are jumping on it, but really, again, it is like a playground for the mega rich. They're gonna keep buying it because they know suckers like us will buy it if they're buying it, and that's another big part of it, too. So, okay, maybe why are these so appealing, you may ask? Well, CoinDesk has the answer. And I might just skip through this in a minute. I even use this article. Again, collectibles. I think this is really the big space for it. I just think that's where it is. Someone like Whale Shark has collected a bunch. Whale Shark has bought 200,000 NFTs. He's some really well-known ones. That's very interesting. He likes NFTs. Good for him. But yeah, I just honestly, I don't really see this going far. But why don't we ask Nazgar? I actually know this website a lot, but I do not know how to pronounce it. So, what's the future of NFTs? So, they have about 5 predictions here. Okay. So, prediction number 1, the democratization of art. So, kind of this idea of who owns art, who has access to art, right? Many people create art, but who can earn a living for it? Who is deemed an artist? So the digitization of art has forever altered the answers to those questions. So today, with anyone on the internet connection can view artwork wherever they are. They don't need to physically be in a space to access it. Of course, I can just look up the picture of the Mona Lisa. I don't have to go and find it. Not only can anyone anywhere view art on a phone or computer screen, but virtual reality is increasingly providing the opportunity to visit galleries and museums and exhibitions, just in your living room. So NFTs are giving artists opportunities to create art and distribute it through online channels, bypassing kind of that middleman or traditional gatekeepers who for centuries dictated what art is and who has access to it. So it's almost like the people's art in a way, like cryptocurrency is the people's currency. In a way, if you want to think about it like that, it could be the people's artwork. And I think obviously this has a really great use case for artists and making a lot of money off of this or just getting their art seen. But I think the issue comes in when it's buyers, right? I think that you can just sell your digital art normally. I've seen a lot of digital artists just sell their digital art. And that usually works just as good as making an NFT, but obviously right now NFTs are huge. So people are going to jump on whatever bandwagon is huge at the time. I think this especially is a bandwagon. Maybe not cryptocurrencies as much. I do love, cryptocurrencies. And I am a pretty big fan. But I do think that NFTs has less use case for it. So I just really I don't see as much of a point compared to, other things. So, as well, that's kind of the first point we have here, our first little prediction for NFTs. I think this one makes sense. I think that art is going digital. Obviously, we've seen that happen. I've just seen art be digital for a very long time now, but I don't see it going the NFT route as maybe. I don't see people buying it as crazy as they're buying it right now. Maybe it'll be a medium to sell your digital art, but I don't think it'll be as crazy as it now. Prediction number 2, increase diversity and representation. So the digitization of art and the rise of blockchain technology and NFTs will shift the key players and influencers in the space to make art more representative of the world around us. So with greater democratization of art and art spaces comes access for different people and groups. Usually underrepresented. So again, for the artists, it's like, you can be anywhere from anywhere, you can look like anything, and you won't be judged for your art. You don't have to be a rich white man anymore to make artwork. You can just be some person, and you could be successful in this state. And I think that's a huge part of it. So yeah, I think it makes sense, right? Art is supposed to be about representing yourself or showing your emotions or just being who you are. So I do think art going in this direction in general makes sense. Maybe not in the NFT sense, but I think in general it does make sense, right? So yeah, sure, diverse. You can say that. Prediction number 3. Okay, guys, these words. Patronage and factualization. So NFTs are going to create a future where patronages of the arts looks a lot different. Because blockchain transactions are direct and not mandated through a third party, collectors and fans will be in a position to directly support their favorite artist or creator. So again, there is no middleman. You don't have to, pay duties or taxes even, really. Additionally, NFT owners allows for fractionalization or partial ownership, through which fans or collectors can share the future earnings of artists and their work. So blockchain technology also allows creators to receive payment on future sales of their work, as I mentioned. So you can just keep making money and money and money each time your artwork sells, and obviously it's going to sell for more each time. So you could have a steady income if your artwork, I guess, gets passed around enough in a way. Number 4, new methods of media. So, because of these innovative technologies, we're going to see new media increasingly used to create and deliver art as well. So, artists have already been creating on digital canvases, of course, working with things like VR or AR, and prioritizing the experience generated over a static passive object. So I do like a static passive object, maybe others don't. Works that are wearables or have everyday utility, etc., etc. So, of course, we are in a new technology age. So, of course, things like this are going to develop. And I think that's something we have to remember. Maybe we shouldn't be afraid of new things. But I do think we have to be cautious and think, is this a fad? Is, this a new .com failure, or is this going to be something that sticks around for a very long time? And I think that's something that we all have to really think about and really have to direct our attention towards. Because I've seen a lot of scammers talk about this, and obviously there's going to be scammers in any new environment, but you also have to think, is this the safest, at least right now, to be doing, or should I wait a bit? Their final prediction is increased freedom and independence. So again, you are independent artists. You can do what you want. You can make the money you want. Though they also, talk about this kind of very different future. So art NFTs are simply simply fad, as I mentioned, rather a new technology. So I don't completely agree with this. I do think it is more of a fad than anything else. Though you could argue to me that it's not, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm really, really, really wrong. But you know what? Who knows, right? Who really knows? So another article I have here before we finish off the episode is kind of this, again, future idea of NFTs, and I really want to find a better article. This one kind of sucks. I mentioned it. I don't really agree by what the first article I read was saying, though I do think some of these make sense. So I have a little bit, this article from Napoleon Cat, that's a fun name. People are like, what if you're missing out? So, I want to skip past all the things we know. Okay. It's really hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell if it's an investment time or if it's a bubble waiting to burst. So, NFTs have been a disruptive, force. They are very interesting, right? We have seen big ripples. We have seen a lot of people buying these things. But I really, really, right now, I think it is for the mega rich. At least right now. Because really, who can afford to spend that much amount of money on NFTs, right? So, as I mentioned in this article again, ownership for the creators, etc. Brands can elevate or leverage NFTs. So, NFTs are giving creators more financial control over their creations, and that's a good thing. But about brands. So, NFTs don't have to pose a threat to a brand or influencer partnerships. Again, it's just kind of an add on. So I really don't see any negative things right now about NFTs, to be honest. A lot of people think that it's going to be adopted. I am a little bit skeptical. But I mean, who knows? It could really, really go big, or it could really, really not. And I guess that the next few years are going to be the case for that. So, other people are kind of saying, other things that, some people are, again, saying that maybe people are giving these things a bad rap. Maybe my search bar has a really bad, because I'm really getting one side of this. But, I think there is going to be a lot as well. In general, as a little bit of a wrap up, I think there's going to be a lot with the government. I think cryptocurrency, especially, and NFTs are going to have a lot of trouble with the government in a few years. Canadian government, American government, all the big governments are going to kind of have a heyday with it if it gets really big, right? They want money. They want to be that middleman. They want to be there to make the money that they want to make. So it's really difficult when a big disruptive force like cryptocurrency or NFTs walk in and they're like, hey, we're cutting out the middleman. And people won't like that. People don't like cutting out the middleman. So, or at least older technologies. So we will probably have that issue. I think so. And I think that might be one of the things that happens. Maybe there'll be some sort of like big tax thing that you have to pay if you buy an NFT. Maybe, I don't know, an artist has to put a portion to it. Right now, I think all of this space is almost like the Wild West. I think we're in a time where there is a lot of scams, where there is a lot of bad stuff happening. And I really do think that it will get better, but I also do think that if it doesn't get better, it's just going to burst. So it really is like a one other situation, which is always a fun predicament to be in. So, that's kind of big. As well, I definitely think that NFTs in general, I don't trust them as much as I trust cryptocurrency. I think that they are cool, they can be cool, and the people who make the money are cool and great for them. But I do think, again, as that Virginico mentioned, I think they worded it great. It is like a playground for the mega rich. Especially right now. I don't think normal people have the time nor the money at all to be buying these things or taking it seriously. It really is just a block of code that you are buying that is specified to this one little token, and it's just this little block of code, right? I can change the code, it can look the exact same, and it wouldn't matter. So that's another big part too, because it's like, okay, it's cool for collectors, it's cool for the artists, it's cool for this, but it really isn't that different unless you really go into the code and write what I'm looking at is the actual token. And there can be thousands of the same ones that look the same, but you just have a special one, right? That's another way. I think a great use of this is cutting out that middleman. I do agree with cutting out the middleman, of course, in terms of businesses. Not if I was a government, but in terms of businesses. I think that this middleman being cut out is going to be great. I think with real estate, I think that was really interesting. Or even like acting like a Craigslist. Like you can buy running shoes or you can buy whatever you want to buy on the NFT block market or blockchain, and you could just use your NFT to do it. And I think that would be really cool, right? I could like make Ava bucks and be like, here, here's an Ava buck. If you want to buy my shoes, or if you want to buy, I don't know, an item I have. I think that could be a really fun use of it as well. So I think there is a lot of uses that are good, right? I know personally I've talked kind of negatively about it, but that's because I'm skeptical, right? I don't want to trust it. I won't invest in it. It's not something that I'm looking to invest in at this time. So I think it is important to be skeptical in life, but I also do think it's important to realize, okay, you know what? Maybe I can trust it a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't be as skeptical. So, overall, I think the NFT space is ever growing, whether we like it or not. I think that there are going to be, I think these next few years are going to be a boom or a bust. I think that NFT space has not ended quite yet, but I do think it's either coming to an end or we're just getting started. I don't really think there is an in between with this space. I think as of right now, it really is just for the rich people to get richer and them to nag onto poor people or nag onto, susceptible people like young people and say, hey, buy this NFT and you'll be cool like me and rich. And it's like, no, you won't, but, you have a pretty good marketing strategy there. So, that's another big factor. And I think it is really being taken in by these rich people because they can buy it. They do have the money to leverage themselves over other people and use this. And it also doesn't look like a scam, right? It's like, oh, I'm just getting in the NFT business. I just love investing so much. And I think that's kind of a thing we're going to hear a lot. And if people are making scams and if people are doing these bad things with these NFTs, we're just going to hear that. We're going to say, no, I just wanted to get into the NFT market. This is what the NFT market is. Well, then now you're just giving the whole market a bad rap and basically telling everybody that this market is a scam, place for scams. And I do think a lot of it is, right? I think with cryptocurrency too, there is a lot to be skeptical of. I think when there is a new technology, when there is something new in life, you should be skeptical, right? When Instagram or Twitter popped up, I mean, Twitter and Instagram have been part of my life since I was born, but when that did prop up for obviously other people, I think it was a time to be skeptical. The .com, right? When the internet came to be, when the internet started, how would you even think that would last? Or when Apple came up, you'd say, no way, I'm always gonna have my BlackBerry phone, right? So there are always going to be waves and bursts made in these different areas of the world. And I think that's really important. I think that we should have these areas of huge booms and disruptive things that change the way we think or change the way we do things. But I think right now, especially with the nature of NFTs and what they are and kind of the concept behind it, I think currently there's not a lot of backing to it. I think a lot of people will just buy an NFT hoping that someone else will buy it and they'll make a bunch of money. And when you have something like that, there really is no value. You could say the intrinsic value is the artwork, but again, you could say I could just screenshot the artwork and it would be the same thing. So then you could say, oh, the intrinsic value is the code, but no one's actually keeping the NFT. So it really wouldn't be the code then because you just keep selling and selling and selling. So really the value is the value that the people make, the value that the people make with this, right? That $69 million Beeple artwork really wouldn't go for that much if it wasn't an NFT, right? If it was just a digital artwork, it would not go for $69 million. But it did because it was an NFT. Beeple went at a great time. He found a market. He found, kind of this underused market, and he was very smart with it. And he had this great strategy. So obviously, if you're an artist and you are really great at this stuff, go for it. I think it is a really lucrative place right now. But to be warned, right? This could burst, and who knows, right? Everything could be temporary, and this could all burst. But on that note, because I am kind of leaning in towards the scams, and I will start talking about them if you don't stop me, or if I don't stop myself. I'm going to leave NFT scams for the next episode. So, on that note, please check out the Ever Changing World Instagram, Twitter, and website and connect with us. So the Instagram page is ever.changingworld. Again, ever.changingworld. The Twitter page is everchangingwor. Again, everchangingwor. And finally, my website is shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. Again, shows.acast.com/ever-changing-world. You can find all of those links in the bio of this episode. Please go follow my Instagram, my Twitter, and all of that. It really helps the podcast. It helps get the word out, and more people can just listen and learn. And that's all I want to happen. So please go listen to past episodes. Go listen to future episodes. And stay tuned for next week's episode on Tuesday at 6 a.m. It will be, let me check what day it will be so you guys can mark it in your calendars. It'll be a great episode, as I am talking, of course, about NFTs again, but scams. It'll be on Tuesday, April 19th. Go check out that episode. Today's episode will be posted on the 12th. So a week from today, whenever you're listening to it, I guess, go check out the NFT scams, because we will talk a lot more about NFTs there. So I won't ramble any more about it, and we will also talk about kind of maybe some benefits, or obviously a lot of negatives in that episode about it, but we'll talk about it all. So thank you so much for listening for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Go listen next week, next Tuesday, for a new episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.